YouTube! ¿Qué pasa? Welcome back to another solo leveling video on my channel. Now, today we're gonna be talking about artifacts. Or the main topic of today's video is revolving all around artifacts. I'm gonna be trying to making an introduction to artifacts and a little guide on what to look out for when farming artifacts and what kind of artifacts are there. Basically everything covering artifacts, right? So without further ado, let's jump into this. Right, first of all, before getting into artifacts, you have to know there is two types of artifacts, right? So there is ones called the armor artifacts, right? Which is usually a helmet, a chest, an arm, and feet, right? And then there are jewelry sets, right? Which is usually a chain or a necklace, a bracelet, it's called, a ring, and earrings, right? And these two basically can be equipped to a single character. So a character has 8 slots for artifact, 4 of them reserved for armor, and 4 of them reserved for jewelry, right? So that's the first thing. Now, the artifacts come into sets, right? So you have 2-piece set effect and you have a 4-piece set effect. For example, the Noble Sacrifice has a 2-piece effect set and a 4-piece effect set. The same thing is in regards to the jewelry sets. They have also 2-piece effect set and a 4-piece effect set. Right, so now that that's out of the way, we're going to be looking at the different kinds of sets for the armor artifacts, right? So in total, you have currently 8 different armor artifact sets, right? So there is 8 different ones, right? So the first one we're going to be looking at, wait, let me quickly sort this, boom, set, right? Okay, and we don't want the, no, we're going to be doing it like that. So the first one we're going to be looking at is the Destroyer set, right? So the Destroyer set, basically the 2-piece effect set or the 2-piece set effect increases your power gauge acquisition rate by 20%, and the 4 set effect, when the battle starts, charges the user's power gauge by 50% and also increases the user and their team members' power gauge acquisition rate by an additional 20%. Now, this is useful for characters that rely heavily on, for example, their ultimate, or also on relying on cooldown rates, higher cooldown rates, right? So, for example, someone like the character in equipped here, let me quickly check him up, but there is, right? So, for example, someone like Kang Tashik, he highly benefits from the Destroyer artifact set. For example, he is one of those. He also benefits highly from the one-hit kill, but yeah, those are 2 sets which fit him well, right? So that's the first set. The next set is, let's look at the armed set, right? Is the Black Lion's gloves, for example, right? So this set, actually every player gets it gifted, I guess, in the beginning. It's a low level gift which we receive, and I'm going to be coming into the difference of low and high level and the different rarities also, right? So the armed set comes with a 2 set effect, increases the user's attack by 5%, and the 4 set effect, when attacking the user, ignores 15% of the target's defense. That's another one. Then we also have, let me quickly sort this again. So then we also have the Dragons or the Solid Foundation set, right? This one is basically the 2 set effect, increases the user's basic attack damage by 18%, and the 4-piece effect increases the user's core attack damage by 18%, and when an attack hits, charges the user's core gauge by 60. So this one is another set. Then we also have the one-hit kill, which is one of my favorites, actually. This one is actually being played a lot by Jing Wu, actually. And it basically increases the ultimate skill damage by 25%, and the 4 set effect decreases the ultimate skill cooldown by another 40%. So it basically makes you be able to dish more damage out with your ult and increase the cooldown rate by 40% for your ult. So definitely a actually very nice set. Now, the Holy set or the Noble Sacrifice set is another one designed more for tanks and healers and buffers and supporters and whatnot. So this one increases the HP by 8%, and it also decreases the user's attack but increases their team members' attack by 8%. So this one is a direct buff for team members, and it's the go-to set you want to be giving someone like Min, right? However, again, you always want to be watching out for those main and substats, right? Hence, you may be asking, why did I equip Min, not the legendary level 55? Right, so because the main stat and the substats aren't really desirable for this one right now. Now, anyways, let's look at the next one, is the Guardian one. The Guardian basically is also another one for tanks. The user's shield effects increase by 30%, and the force set effect. When a team member, including the user, activates a shield, it increases their individual damage dealt by 10% for 10 seconds. Then there is the solid analysis. The user's damage dealt to enemies in a break state increases by 15%. And this set you want to be given to characters, for example, like Emma or Bake or Jin Woo Chil is his name, I think. It's basically the go-to set for breakers, for characters that dish out a lot of break damage, right? And be able to break through those shields of your opponents, like Seo and everyone, right? So, and the force set effect, basically, when attacking enemies that have elemental weakness, the break effect increases by 30%, right? Then we also have the toughness set. And this one is the last set on this list. This one is your go-to set, actually, when it comes to building your DPS, mainly DPS designed set, because this one, the two-piece effect increases the base crit hit rate by 8%. So you gain 8% off the bat, and it also increases the critical hit damage by 32%. So that's basically an overview over all the 8 different sets. Now let's look at the jewelry sets. Right, so there is 6 different jewelry sets in the game. So the first one we're going to be looking at is the concentration of firepower. This one increases the user's skill MP consumption rate by 20%, but increases their user's damage dealt by 5%, and increases users' basic skill cooldown by 5%. And it also increases the damage increase effect to 18% at 4-piece, and cooldown reduction effect of basic skills to 18%, which is actually a very nice set, to be honest, right? The next one is going to be the outstanding connection. The 2-piece set, when tagging out, increases the user and their team members' attack by 12%. This one is also designed for buffers, someone like Min, for example. And also the 4-piece set increases attack increase effect to 28%. Basically makes your DPS and sub DPS dish out a lot more damage, right? So then we have the expert set. This one is also again designed for your DPS or sub DPS characters. When landing critical hits, the user has a 25% chance to increase attack by 0.8%, stacking up to 100 times. Cooldown 1 second. And the force set effect increases activation rate to 50% and attack increase effect to 1.6%. Last, the Berserker set is another one, sort of designed for critical situations, I would say. A set which is not really much used, but fits well for some characters, right? So when the user has 50% HP or less, their damage dealt increases by 15%, HP condition changes to 17%, and damage dealt increases to 30%. Now, there is one character this set is basically made for, and it's none other than the Silvermane Baekhyun. Now this character, why didn't I level him up? I don't know. Right, so let's quickly push him up to level 55. Now this character, I was actually going to get him 505 because it's actually my most favorite character from the looks. So I'm probably going to be going to try and get him at A5 because I'm crazy and I really like the character. So yeah, but anyways, let's continue with the next few sets. So where were we? We did the concentration firepower. We did, right, we was at the Berserker one. Next one is the Executioner. When attacking enemies with 40% or less HP, increases the user's damage dealt by 8%. The force set effect, HP condition changes to 70%, and damage increases effect increases to 20%. This one's sort of designed for breakers, mainly, or sub DPSs, I would put it. And it's actually quite a good set to be running on Jin Woo also. So that's another one. You could be running it on one. So the next one is Champion on the Field. Increases the user's attack by 5% for 4 seconds. When landing critical hit, cooldown 1 second, right? And the force set effect, the attack increases effect can now stack limited to 4 instances max, right? So this one is also like a sub DPS set, but I can't find any character, to be honest, where I'm running this. So yeah, and those are all the jewelry sets. Now, when looking at artifacts, you have different rarities. You have common rarity, which is the lowest rarity, and then you have, after that is rare. Then you have the purple ones, which are epic, and the highest rarity of artifacts you can achieve in the game are legendary, right? So that's the first thing. Now, there is one thing to be noted, right? So when we go to all, there is different levels, or let's say tier scores of rarities of equipment, right? You have low level equipment and you have high level equipment, right? So you never want to enhance, for example, an equipment, for example, legendary, right? There is the highest low level equipment you can try and get in the game is level 35, and you acquire these by farming, for example, in the Encore missions, the Blue Venom Fanged Kasaka and the Viridescent Mage Forest, right? These first two Encore missions only drop equipment to a maximum level of 35, right? That's the highest level rarity you're able to get from these, right? Whether it be for the legendary ones, right? The epic ones are going to be maximum level 30. The rare ones are going to be maximum level 25, and the common ones are going to be maximum level 20, right? Then you also have the high level ones, and these ones are actually where you want to be farming all the time, right? You never want to spend much time beyond a specific level on the first two, because the first two are actually only like for early game, very early game, right? As soon as you unlock the Cerberus and the Giant Arachnid, you always want to farm these, right? And these will always drop the golden ones at maximum level 35, which is the highest level of an equipment or artifact in the game for the legendary ones, and the epic ones are going to be again at 50, the rare ones at level 45, and the common ones are level 40, right? That's how basically the artifact leveling works, right? So take a note, you never want to push or enhance those low level equipments beyond a specific level, right? Soon as you unlock Cerberus, Arachnid, always farm those and dip out of Kasaka and Viridescent Arachnid, Viridescent Mage. These ones are just for low level and beginners, very, very early game only, right? And that's basically that explained. And you always farm your artifacts. You farm them specifically in Encore missions and instant dungeons. You can also you also get in within the gates. You're also going to be getting equipment. Most of the time, these are rather rare or epic equipments at maximum, but mainly your Encore missions and your instance dungeons. These are the places where you want to be farming artifacts, right? And farming artifacts, you always want to be looking out for the specific main stats and substats. So an artifact has main stat, which is, for example, the glove I have here. Additional attack is the main stat, and then you see the substats, right? Some artifacts come only with 2 substats at the get-go, and as soon as you enhance them at level enhancement 5, he unlocks 1 substat, and at level 10 he unlocks another one, right? And at level 15 you upgrade one of those substats you already having, right? So that's also sometimes the case. Now generally you always want to be trying and acquiring those level 55 legendary sets, and you want to be trying to farm or hunt at least for those perfect main stats and substats. But it's not always all easy, but yeah, that's what you want to be trying to achieve. And that's actually everything there is to know regarding artifacts, right? Now, there is one more thing I might want to show you. Generally, when you have artifacts, I always recommend selling your common ones, right? So when you go to artifact and you click on salvage at the bottom, you can select all, and you can basically select all of your common ones and sell them in a bunch. And this will actually generate a good amount of gold, which is something to come hard by at times. So when you're farming heavily for artifacts, you're going to be getting a lot of trash, right? And that trash you always want to sell and get some money back. And with that, I'm going to be concluding the video. I hope this video was helpful to some of you newer players out there, for the beginners out there. Drop a comment, let me know how you're liking this video and how you're liking the game so far. As always, thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Until next time.